In our study of Western music history, the first character, the first person we're going to discuss is Hildegard of Bingen. She was a nun living during the medieval times, and she grew up from the beginning of her life through the end of her life, studying, living, worshiping in convents and monasteries in Western Germany. The Rhineland close to Belgium, a town specifically named Dizenbodenberg, which would eventually move to the town of Bingen, where she set up and founded her own monastery in 1150. It wasn't until later in life that she received her true, strongest official calling from above. It was around the time she was about 42 years old, and this is a quote describing how she initially received some of that message. As it came to pass, when I was 42 years and 7 months old, that the heavens were opened and a blinding light of exceptional brilliance flowed through my entire brain, and so it kindled my whole heart and breast like a flame, not burning but warming. And suddenly I understood of the meanings and expositions of the books of the scripture. So there you have it, her first true calling from above to truly devote herself to the higher powers of the Roman Catholic Church at the time. Throughout all of her studies, she always regarded music in the highest, the utmost importance there. She felt it was kind of like the second voice of God, given to us to help rekindle some of that joy that was said to initially be there in the beginnings of time. The Garden of Eden specifically is what she was thinking of. She describes it as a means of recapturing the original joy and beauty of paradise being Eden, and that music was invented to worship God appropriately. And so, again, true high regard. Any paintings that we'll see, you will have pictures of the big fire from above coming down to her, and a scribe writing down the words that she's pronouncing from her messages that are being received. Again, in the musical realm, she never received any true training as a composer or musician, but she always felt that her melodies were a gift from God. They were part of her visions that came down, that she saw, that she felt, that she was experiencing. She is said and quoted as saying, I composed and chanted plain song in praise of God and the saints, and even though I had never studied either musical notation or singing. So again, just reiteration of the fact that she was not trained as a musician in any sort. So seems kind of funny that you might think when the first thing you think of as classical music are trained musicians, and the first person we talk about is an untrained musician. She's just receiving a gift from wherever. So her music, specifically the main canon, the main portion of her catalog, falls within the music of the canonical hours. As I mentioned before, these are where the chants that are sung throughout the day, every day from morning to night. For us musically, specifically the Vespers and Matins. The Matins being the first thing in the morning, the Vespers being the last thing at night. The ones that are most popular and important for us musically are part of those canonical hours. And in these, she mainly wrote in the style of antiphons versus hymns or psalms specifically. Again, antiphons, we want to keep in mind here is they're the one-line text, one melody, sung to a freely composed text that she was given, and they have this, again, more open kind of sound to them than, say, some of the other varieties that you have. Hildegard's style specifically is somewhat different than your standard Gregorian chant. Couple of the main things are that her melodic lines have a wider pitch range. So if Gregorian chant has a pitch range about that much, which is about a fifth, 5 notes, hers go up to an octave, 8 notes. So there's a little wider range, higher highs, lower lows, that create this more soaring kind of ethereal, spirited sound in her melody. Again, to help create the sound of what she's receiving as her messages from above, from God. Also, in these melodies, that wider space that she uses, she creates a lot more leaps, so further distance from note to note, to create that deeper kind of storyline to help portray the poetry that she's written that is being sung here. So those leaps, she would always fill them in on her way back down to help create some connection, but they were still there, versus in standard chant, everything's very strongly connected from one note to the next, and very, very what we were talking about before is conjunct. Hers are still conjunct, but there's a little bit more space and motion in them, basically, which created a more angular movement. So instead of just that standard kind of arched shape that we talked about with chant, where it starts from a lower pitch, goes up to a higher pitch, and then comes back down, hers might take a different shape than that, having more angular, right angles in there, instead of just nice and smooth arched shapes in there. So keep that in mind when you're hearing her music. She also had she preferred, a stronger use of melisma. So you had more spots where there was a single syllable used underneath a melody of many pitches, versus chant, they use that sparingly to emphasize very specific words. She would use it more in a more expressive nature. So again, stronger use of melisma, more leaps, more space in her melodies, and then also just the sheer range of melodies, and then it created more spacious, ethereal, kind of exuberant feel to the music. Also in due part to the poetry that she wrote or was given. That wasn't specifically straight from the Book of Psalms like standard chants are as well. So in a nutshell, there you have it. Hildegard of Bingen.